First of all, let me tell you something. Lamont is just full of shit.
Sometimes my mama said, when you don't have nothing nice to say, you should be quiet.
People say that Stephen A. is a coon. You agree with that? Everybody got quiet on that one? Okay, Lamont, go ahead.
Rudy Giuliani practices voodoo.
What?
So he put a voodoo hex on my girl, Hillary, and that's why she got woozy.
Yo.
And the Secret Service had to prop her up and put her in the van.
Bro, take us to a break, my dude.
It was voodoo, son.
I don't know about that voodoo.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Three Black Guys with a Mic. Yes, welcome to Three Black Guys with a Mic, the podcast where politics meet pop culture and hip-hop debate style. I'm your host, Spud, along with Lamont Haynes and Maynard J. Scales. We have a lot going on tonight. So wherever you are tonight, let us know where you are and where you are from. Happy Black History Month. Today is the first day of Black History. We are excited. So we just have a lot to talk about tonight. So bear with us. We might go over. If Lamont allows for us to go over, then we might go over because there's a lot that we have to get off of our chest. What up, Danielle? Thanks for checking in. We have to talk about Wendy Williams movie. We got to talk about T.I. and Tiny. We got to talk about the Super Bowl. There's just a lot that's happening that we have to talk about. But before we, and we got to talk about Black History Month. So there's a lot that we have to talk about. Before we do all of that and all of our, what do we call it?
Shenanigans.
Before we get into all of our shenanigans, we are honored to be joined by Nola Haynes, who is a political science professor at Pepperdine in LA. Very educated, very smart. So tonight we're going to talk about national security as well as white supremacy. So Nola, thank you so very much for joining us. Welcome to Three Black Guys with the Mic. I just want to say it's an honor to have you on. I did my research last night to just kind of see all of the things that you have done, from being an actress and a talk show host and all of the things that you've done in the past, now to being a professor. It is definitely to finally have a pretty face on the show.
Whoa.
Educated, person on the show, other than the other two guys that are, that are body. So before we start, I do want to ask you, and you don't have to if you don't, but if you wanted to say anything about Dustin Diamond, I know he was a friend of yours. He passed away today. For anybody who doesn't know who Dustin Diamond is, and if you're not a Saved by the Bell geek fan like I was growing up, he passed away today. So I don't know if you wanted to start off by saying anything to him. If you don't, you don't have to, but I just wanted to kind of just give you that opportunity. Or you can start with your top five. We can either go which way you want to, take it.
You starting off early, Spud.
We're going in.
You were serious with it.
I'll transition to Dustin and then my top five. That's kind of
He's coming fast.
So
okay.
I will say a few gentle words about Dustin. It's not every day that you can, especially with Black History Month, is really to think about the role in this man played in my life. It was one of those situations where I can't say that we were best friends, but we worked together. And he saw something in me when I was an extra in class when I was a teenager. And I had like 3 jobs at that time, including that one. So for me, it was just about the grind and the hustle to help my mama pay bills.
Right.
So acting for me was like, I'm here with this dream. That wasn't it.
Right.
It literally was to help my at that point single mother pay the bills. So I was extra on Saved by the Bell class. This was just one of my many jobs. And then Dustin walks up to me and says, "Why are you extra? Why aren't you a principal right now?" And I'm like, "I don't know, you know me." So anyway,
so how did you make the transition from acting to being a professor?
Oh, you gonna let me tell this story?
I'm sorry, my bad. I mean, my bad.
We got a spicy one. We got a spicy one today.
Honey, she got all the cayenne.
Let's go.
So long story short, the real big thing that Evan did for me was to introduce me to his agent. So I didn't have to go through a lot of the people doing mass mailing. People still mailed headshots and stuff. I dropped it off to this big agent the first time around, and she signed me like 2 minutes later because Dustin Bell.
Wow.
And
Good for you.
that's how it happened.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So now you are a professor.
Mm-hmm.
And let's get into, before Maynard starts to wrap me up, because, I'll talk
Yes,
all
he
day.
will.
Because he will. So let's get into, so the conversation. So Maynard, sent us a text message, a long text message, and said, you were going to be on because you're one of the smartest females he knows, and that we were talking about national security as well as, white supremacy. When you saw January 6th, how did that make you feel?
Well, considering the fact that I put it on October 4th, it made me feel horrible. I actually sent a text to a colleague on October 4th that was going to happen, that a coup was happening. And to the form, I was kind of dismissed, very gentle in some way. Like, no, Nola, that's not possible. I'm like, I'm telling you what's happening. So anyway, so when January 6th happened, people like me who watch this, study this stuff, and can put and connect the dots, especially people that have a race lens like me. So there are many people in security work who may not necessarily have that racial lens, but I do. So I was able to see the role in which race was playing in our political system, and also seeing that we were at a dangerous tipping point for democracy writ large, because if people don't wrap their heads around the fact that racism is a national security imperative, we're going to keep repeating these same dangerous cycles. And honestly, if we are literally one presidential election away from no longer being a democracy, that's how serious it is.
So, I have a very good friend, and for the past, 13 years or so, he keeps telling me that the scariest thing in the world is that somehow there'll be a second 9/11, that some ISIS, Al-Qaeda, or what have you, operative is going to do something to America in such a way that, that's the most frightening thing. Now, for me, the most frightening thing, hate to say it, was, teenage white guys who go into schools and shoot up and kill children, because my daughter is a sixth grader. Mm-hmm. And I was seeing a lot more than that. But why don't you share a little bit more about, what has happened with the level of domestic terror and its rise in a handful of years here?
Mm-hmm. So thank you for sharing that. And I completely understand, especially with school shootings. And when I think about a lot of the Gen Zs and what they've already been through, I can't even imagine being taught in school how to keep yourself safe because someone might shoot it up. But to answer the question in a very specific way, so going back to the initial question about how I transitioned out of acting and then became a professor, it all goes back to my community in New Orleans. So I was raised in a very HBCU environment. I pretty much was raised on Xavier's campus because my dad worked there. And every imaginable program that you could think of, science related, Chem Star, Bio Star, Math Star, every summer I was at Xavier doing some sort of science related, tech related, math related program. So in addition to that, the community in which I come from in New Orleans is very education centered, very education focused. My wonderful parents, really sacrificed, sent me to a really, really good private school in New Orleans. So I say all that to say that education is really, really important. So when Hurricane Katrina happened, my community was like, oh, you on TV? That's cute. But when are you going back to school? So that's the type of community I come from. And so when Hurricane Katrina happened, I was like, okay, I didn't like how New Orleans is being portrayed in the media. And the one way that I knew that I could do something about it was through higher education. So I decided to go back to school and started that very long transition to where I am today. But I say all that to say that part of this journey started when I was in Boston in grad school because of the Boston bombings. And I was studying religion, race, and class in New Orleans. Like, that was my research. Like, they legit called me the Black Catholic at Harvard Divinity School. Like, I'm not even kidding. I hated it, but that's what they called me because that's what my work was. But the Boston bombings really changed that for me. Because I was in the city when it happened. I was spit on at a bus stop because my hair was wrapped and I was carrying my Arabic textbook. And I guess this white man thought I was Muslim and he just felt privileged enough to spit on me. And I was also working in community with a lot of Muslim students at Suffolk University who were very frightened after the Boston bombings because they were catching the backlash, unfairly so. So terrorism was a really big part of my work. So right now, what I will say is that global terrorism has literally been on a decline, literally, since 9/11 for many reasons. And I'm not discounting it, but in terms of what the real worries were, especially before 1/6, it was actually nuclear proliferation. There are states that are gaining more nuclear capabilities. So that really is the threat potential that most international security folks are really, really interested in. And again, I'm not dismissing global terrorism. I am saying that global terrorism has been down consistently since the heyday of the 70s and the 80s. And then, 9/11 was a whole different thing. So I'm not discounting what your friend is saying at all. But before 1/6, where domestic terrorism really exploded onto the American mainstream stage and you couldn't ignore it, people were watching other states that were getting nuclear capabilities, and Iran is really a really, really big part of that narrative. Now, there are people like Dr. Errol Southers, Malcolm Nance, who's been talking a lot about, hey, y'all need to pay attention to these Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, because, the FBI, they're like 1,000 cases. Before 1/6, there was like 1,000 cases already open in terms of domestic terrorism. And there were a heightened amount of arrests that were happening before 1/6. So while I think people had an eye on it, I don't think the urgency was there as if it was for 9/11 and as if it was a brown person. So let's be clear about that. If people like us rushed the Capitol 1/6, it would have been a very different response.
So let me ask you this question. And I think when I hear the word domestic terrorism, I automatically revert back to 1865 when the Ku Klux Klan was founded in Pulaski, Tennessee. So I think this country has a history of domestic terrorism that goes back, to the 1800s, way before 1865. But here's my question on Jan 6 and, understanding with all the different security forces that we have domestically and even internationally, I'm still trying to understand, they couldn't have just took care of those. What was the number that day, Maynard, Spud? 20,000, 15,000?
20 plus. Plus.
There was enough law enforcement in the Washington, D.C. area to take care of that business really quickly. So my question to you is, and I know the answer, I just want to hear you say it, why was it not taken care of? Was it because these were some of the descendants of this infamous group that was started in 1865? I mean, why is it that, I heard a retired Capitol policeman say, who was retired, as I said, he said he was watching that on TV like, we have more resources just in terms of Capitol Police. They had dogs, they had horses, they had all of the kind of things that could have been put in place that he was like, we was just out there, or he saw some of his former colleagues out there like a regular day. So my question again is, Jan 6, whether they believed it or not, could they not have put a kibosh on that really quickly?
Well, really quickly, yes and no. If there wasn't the bottleneck regarding communication, absolutely. There were people literally, ready to go, but they were just waiting for orders to actually go. And another part of the failure was the fact that a lot of those Capitol Police folks that we saw that were there and that were just kind of like holding back the crowd and not doing much is because they didn't have riot gear. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of went to work like it was a normal day, even though there was ample social media chatter. I mean, ample. They knew they were coming. They had to get permits and clearances for that to even happen, you know, but they didn't pay attention to the violent threads that was happening on Parler and other sort of platforms. You know, I don't know why they weren't. Well, I mean, outside of the skin color, that's clear. But what in your mind makes you think, because it's just a group of angry white folks, that somehow they aren't going to get violent? As you mentioned earlier, nobody that looks like us, as far as I know, has shot up a school. So does violence not exist within a white community?
Our guest is Nola Haynes. Nola, I'm the least educated out of this group. So if my questions are, elementary, please forgive me. But here's what when I first saw it, right? My thing was, these are people that are common people, right? These are not like some, rural area, redneck white guys, you know what I'm saying? These are like people that we see on a daily basis. Like these are people who sit next to us and work next to us and maybe live in our neighborhoods. Like these are average people. What, in your opinion, and this is what I would say right now, not even that right now, I mean, who we call as a white supremacist looks so familiar. It's like they were hiding in plain sight. It's like, who knew that these were the white supremacists? We thought that they were somebody totally different.
I swear I saw my dentist out there.
They were just Joe from down the street. What do we do next in protecting ourselves from these particular type of people? Is it something that Black folks need to do in order to protect ourselves? And was this more of a we want our president, or is this a racial thing?
It's layered. I think it's all of the above. I mean, if you trace this historically, all of it makes sense. Spike Lee told us in the movie, what was the movie, the one with Denzel Washington's son and the one about David Duke?
Black Klansman.
Black Klansman, exactly. David Duke had a whole plan of how to infiltrate everyday sections of America. It was written down. So the idea being that David Duke realized that, listen, y'all, Bubba and Ray Ray can't be out here representing us because you can see them a mile away. So they got smart, right? They sent Bubba and Ray Ray to school, right? And they put on a suit, and then their kids went to school, and then their kids' went to school. But they're still coming up in this ideology of this fictional tale of whiteness being lost or stolen from people that look like us. And that somehow we are the others invading somehow their natural given land, which, hello, that's hilarious. And it's this narrative that is crafted around whiteness that perpetuates this idea that somehow they are the sole protectors of America, which is why I really do believe there was hyper representation of military folk there on 1/6. It's this idea that somehow part of protecting America is protecting whiteness. And to me, that is the problem. And that's what we need to fix. And that is why diversity is important, not just having Black bodies and stuff on college campuses, but having people like me thinking about national security from a perspective of race. Only someone like me with my experiences will think of national security and foreign policy in those ways. Right. So it's this diversity of thought and ideas that also need to be included in these systems that prop up and support these ideologies.
So let me ask this part. And I've been really wondering this. You know, a handful of years ago, nearing the end of the Obama administration, we saw that Crimea was taken from the Ukraine by some 20,000 Russian thugs who just kind of blended into the crowd. Mm-hmm. Do you hear where I'm going now? Mm-hmm. Is there, because Donald Trump had been so cozy with Russia?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
But thank you, Jesus. Thank you, sweet baby black. Not the white Jesus, but the black Jesus. Thank you. Go ahead, Spud. I mean, please, man.
Because Donald Trump had been so cozy with Vladimir Putin and so empathetic with and aligning himself with, are we certain that everyone who was among this 20, 30,000 person militia are American citizens? Or could we have had some infiltration where there were agitators who were Russian or Russian operatives?
Well, I don't have facts to that, but I did hear some folks on the ground say that that they thought that they heard Russian accents in the crowd. I have no evidence of that, but I will say this: there is a very clear link to both. And again, I don't want to spread misinformation or disinformation because I don't have any evidence of this, but Paul Manafort is a linchpin. I'll just say that. I mean, it's more and more information is going to come out, but unfortunately, the sixth person that was also caught up in the death total was a cop who committed suicide. And this cop is not related to Paul Manafort, but there's some sort of connection. And so we're going to find out more information about the role in which perhaps he played or his people played or his companies or whatever. And then also being able to connect the dots to perhaps what happened in Ukraine. So again, this isn't any evidence that I have. This is just me professionally connecting the dots and knowing that more information will come to light.
Should we be scared?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Should we be scared? Should we be? I mean, there's a lot of AR-15s, a lot of, there's a lot of guns out there. Do we need to? I mean, I'm only thinking in the sense of, because we had this debate, about Lamont says, what happened on 1/6 wasn't our business. That had nothing to do with us. That was white folks being white folks. But had some of us had went to the Capitol to defend the Capitol, which we had every right, it would have been a really big issue. So I'm just curious to know, should we be protecting ourselves against these type of folks?
I will never, ever advocate for violence, nor will I ever, ever, ever advocate for gun use. It's just not who I am. It doesn't
have to be violence. It could just be a matter of being aware.
Let her finish, Bud. Let her finish.
It's not just violence. It's just being aware.
But it could be. I mean, right? I mean, if you're talking about protecting yourself from someone who's going to do harm to you, then the assumption is there's some level of violence involved, and you will handle that violence with violence. I mean, I don't think you're gonna throw a pack of gum at the person.
No, not no gum.
Oh, exactly.
It depends on the breath situation. The breath might be bad.
It could be. It could be. These masks.
I'm sorry. Can we clarify this? Because I'm feeling a little Martin Luther King-ish in the air. So are we saying that when the violence comes towards us, that we're not supposed to address that with violence?
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is I'll never advocate for it. Now, let me be very clear about something.
Okay.
I'm little, but I can throw these hands, trust and believe.
Okay.
I don't believe in carrying guns. We got
points over here too. We got you.
I don't believe in none of that. But what she does believe in is kickboxing and Krav Maga, trust and believe. And I've been doing that for
which is a form of protecting yourself.
15 years.
Right, that's a little violence, right?
Well, I prefer that violence. If it has to be violence, I prefer that kind of combat than gun violence is what I'm saying. I'm not an advocate. I'm not a gun advocate at all. Yeah, I'm just. Yeah. But the brothers around me, they're like, all right, Nola, like, you sure? I'm like, I'm sure. I'm not trying to be cocky or anything like that. But I will say this from a very real space. I think that a lot of people don't take women seriously when we say that we have these skills. And I'll be honest, I started doing these things because I wanted to do action films when I was an actress. But it just really turned into something I got really serious. And I was able to save my own life in Italy 2 summers ago because I beat somebody who was trying to kidnap me. And if I did not have training, I would.
The woman who doesn't advocate for violence.
That was self-defense.
No. I don't advocate for gun violence. Let's get that very clear. She does not mince her words.
I'm not kidding. I'm just joking.
So let me say something that was strange, right? So I came across Nola and her bio and her work really through Clubhouse. And then I kind of reached out and we started, back and forth, and we booked this, and then later discovered in the past 2-3 days that we were almost play cousin, sister, brother-in-laws or something like that. She happened to date this dude that I grew up with.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to name his name, but y'all know exactly who he is. In fact, he's in the industry. You do know him. And in fact, I talked to him tonight, and he said he's going to come on the show. Well, it's important.
You lying.
Is he?
Yeah, not tonight. He's not coming on. He ain't coming on tonight, but he's coming on.
Oh, okay. I'm like, no, you did not do that.
No. But as a result, it brings up the fact that she has some hip hop cred. And as we do with many of our guests, we like to know who that top 5 MC and or rap group, wherever we're liberal, is, and Lamont will give you all the criticism and smoke in the world. We'll figure it out.
Hold on 1 second. And Miss Nola, give me 1 second. We got some business with us. Man, I was wondering where you was going, because it felt like you was snitching, my guy. Like, that pivot was cool, but we got to have an after podcast meeting about, because I felt like a little bit of snitching and shade on that pivot, my guy. Okay, you got it. Go ahead. Go. Go ahead, man. Finish your intro.
That's it. She got to bring them. She got to bring them 5.
Oh, okay. Wait. Are we going? I mean, what are we putting her in a box? Is she can she mix, and match?
It's got to be hip hop. It's got to be hip hop.
Whatever she think her top 5 is.
Well, that's what. No. Manager said something different. He said hip hop. That's what I'm saying.
It's got to be hip hop.
Got to make
no R&B.
Miss Nola, can we just go with the top 5, please?
You know what I love about this? I work with so many men.
Now you see in the beginning why I was just saying, we gotta do you first, because you see how the shenanigans come, and the attention span, it just goes out the window after a while.
I love shenanigans. I work with a lot of men, so I'm very comfortable in this environment. I actually love shenanigans just because it takes me outside of myself and I'm not thinking about like heavy theoretical things all the time. So thank you for this. I have given this so much thought. I even did a whole poll on Facebook, got everybody and their mom involved, because if you know me, you know that I love hip hop. Like, I'm not even kidding. So I'm like, they only gave me 5 slots. That's not fair. Like, how you gonna fit the women and the men on the same list? But I will try. I was trying to figure out at least 2 women, and then the regional stuff, like 5, y'all. That's hard.
That's all you get, homie. Give me 5.
All right. I'm still
aggressive, Lamont.
looking for women, but definitely I will start the list off. I got to start the list off with Nipsey. Shout out to Nipsey Hussle. I think if he was still alive, that he would have given us a lot more. And so, and I'm gonna tell you how I'm making this list. I'm making this list from people I actually listen to. I don't make this list from other people's opinions. This is legit what's in my car every single day. So I'm gonna start with Nipsey. No particular, ranking or anything like that. Nipsey, shout out to LA. And I was trying to figure out who's gonna be my underdog. And y'all, it was hard between Rick Ross and Juvie. And New Orleans, don't hate me. I love Juvie. But child, I was listening to the Rick Ross and 2 Chainz verses, and I just find myself listening to it over and over and over. And I'm like, Rick is really underrated. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him on the list, because I know nobody else put him on the list, but the dude is talented. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that there. Number 3, gotta be Jay. Has to be Jay. And then the women, this is where it gets difficult for me. I need more space. Thank you, Michael.
Careful, homie. Be careful. Come on.
Oh, Alexa, turn off alarm. I'm sorry. He keeps me together. I have another all right, so this was really hard, but I gotta go with El Boogie. Like, I have to. You know, I still listen to her. She only gave us one album, but her canon with the Fugees, like, she's just next level. Now, this is why I really, really struggle. I really struggle with this one.
If you say Cardi B, we're hanging up on you. No,
ain't nobody say nobody's Cardi B. Put your life together. And there's nothing wrong with Cardi. Nothing wrong with Cardi. But I love lyricists. And which is why I struggle between Foxy and Nicki. So that's what, you know, I'm just being honest. So my heart tells me to go with Foxy because, you know, Broken Silence is like an album that I still rock to this day. I listen to it all the time. And I love her maturation in her music. So that's another part of it for me. And since y'all don't give me no more space, I got it in there, but I could keep going. Y'all can give me a top 5 group list. You know what I'm saying? Because the Lox and Mobb Deep belong on that list. Outkast, like, we can keep going. You know, there can be an LA list, a New Orleans list, an Atlanta list. Like, it can keep going. New York, shout out to New York. Biggie is not on my list. Y'all don't hate me. But y'all, because Tupac ain't on the list either.
Lamont, unpack, sir, please.
Well, first of all, we need her national security expertise, so I can't give my full 100% because we need her on that wall. Y'all remember in what was that movie with not Gene Hackman, Tom Cruise, and the oh, Jesus Christ, whatever. But it was a part of the movie about how, you know, we need her on the wall, so we need to protect her. So my only issue with her list was, I'm just so not a fan, and I know I'm gonna get beat down for this, is I'm not a fan of Lauryn Hill. I think sonically that record was good, but everyone praised that album as a second coming. It just didn't do it for me. It was kind of like chitlins, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, some people eat chitlins. I don't do it. It's just not good for me. You know what I mean?
You compare Lauryn Hill to chitlins?
Yes, ma'am. I told you
you can hang up on him.
Out the way.
You can hang up on them. I don't even know.
These Lauryn Hill who brought intellectualism and made that shit sexy for hip hop. That Lauryn Hill.
Yo, so the new episode, next week's episode will be 2 black guys with Nola and a mic.
Right. Exactly.
You Lauryn Hill some chitlins.
No, but again, you know what? I'm honestly not mad at your list because outside of Lauryn, because what it shows me is that you know, music is subjective, and here's the real reality. Because, you know, we all have a history in music, and what we always say all the time is that, you know, even with Foxy, you know, I have a long history with her, with Ingrid, and it's funny because we were just talking about her the other day, and you know, a lot of people really think that she's underrated, you know, and a lot of it was because some of her personal stuff outside of the music. But musically, when she had her window, she was crazy dope. So yeah. I'm kind of, you know, glad to hear you say that. I'm a little, you know, I didn't think you were going to go there, but I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, shout out to you. And if nothing else, I definitely want to say thank you, you know, for the work that you do, to be a representative, I'm just going to say, of us being in that space. Because you said something earlier that I think is very important. You know, we need your lens in that space. You know, just like in music, you know, as we were, again, having this conversation, is that the majority of hip hop is controlled by people that don't look like us, that are, you know, they don't have a lens on what really this music is about. And I'm pretty sure in that space, you know, there's not a lot of representation, as there in a lot of other sectors, of us and, you know, what we think and how we feel. So I definitely want to say I appreciate that and thank you. You know, for, again, being on that wall, you know what I mean, so to speak, and being that voice, you know, for us and how we think, you know, on this subject. Because I do think it's important. I think it's something that's been there. I think it's something that's going to be there. And we still have to, it's another one of those things that's a work in progress, because I always say it's hard to legislate behavior. people and what they're taught at home, at their dinner table. We can't legislate that. We can't, prosecute that. So it's just an ongoing
Speaking
thing.
of legislation, before we let you go, I noticed you're a Kamala Harris and Joe Biden fan. What do you want to see that administration do specifically for Black people?
I'm glad you asked me that question because I actually wanted to circle back to something that you said earlier, but we kind of moved away from it. 1-6 was absolutely all about Black Americans. It was in response to that Black woman being that close to the White House and what those other Black women and men did in Atlanta. So let's be 100 about that. That absolutely was about us, right? I mean, Trump literally committed crimes because he could not believe that Black people showed up and showed out the way that we did in those key states, right? So absolutely 1-6 was about us, right? I don't at all think that was white people's business and that's them, let them kind of implode and do their own thing. No. This was an extension still from Barack Obama's presidency, Kamala's ascendancy, Stacey Abrams saying, "Oh, you stole the governorship? Watch this. Hold my beer. Hold my Prosecco." Actually, let me say it that way. Right. So I just wanted to go ahead and circle back and say that. What I want to see from this administration is I want to see more than just symbolic representation. I want to see substantive representation. Right? Because there's a thing where you can just hire Black bodies, but as we all know, all skin folk and kinfolk. So that in and of itself is not enough, right? It needs to show up in the policies. It needs to show up in the betterment of Black people's lives. It needs to show up in the ways in which cops step to us. And that's what I'm saying in terms of there needs to be so many policy overhauls. It's not even funny, And so for me, what I want to see is a real investment in the Black community, the same people who got you elected. And I'm liking a lot of what I'm hearing. I like some of the things in which the ways in which the administration is trying to do things a little bit different. But at the same time, it's still really early to see. But I'm looking for substantive representation and change, not just symbolic. Y'all can take down the statues all day long. Okay, that's cool. I mean, I'm happy I don't have to look at Robert E. Lee anymore when I go home, but okay. Is that really improving the lives of Black people?
No. Thank you, Nola. I would truly appreciate it. I hope are you staying safe in LA? I mean, my mom lives in LA, so I mean, like COVID is serious in those streets. So
that's an understatement. My mom is immune compromised. I have been inside since March, and I have a very active life, between being a PhD student and especially in international relations, which means I travel a lot. And then my talk show that kept me really busy. So I've literally been inside since March. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of folks in my family to COVID in Louisiana. So we are not playing with this thing. That's it. No games played.
You're still doing the travel for the talk show?
Mm-mm.
About
I
travel?
told you been inside since March. Mm-mm.
So for more, so for people who want to, follow you and get more information about Nola Haynes, how do they reach out to you, or how do they follow you or see your work?
Well, thank you for that. So multiple ways. All of my social media handles on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram are Nola Haynes. And my talk show, which is on YouTube, is Nola Haynes TV. Subscribe, tell a friend. Just because I'm down right now, because I'm giving more time to dissertating, it doesn't mean that NHTV, which is my talk show, Nola Haynes TV, is going away. And there's been so much interest in the show coming back. So that's really exciting. And hopefully, some funders can go ahead and drop some coins in the Cash App to help me bring the show back. So last time I did the lift on my own, the financial lift on my own, I'm not doing that anymore.
No, trust me, we understand that. Totally understand that.
We'll be your first guest as you return to doing the show.
Absolutely. I love it.
Cool. Thank you, Nola. We truly appreciate it. Continue to stay safe out there in LA. And hopefully we'll have you on again soon. Hopefully, we can reach back out to you and say, hey, we need you to come on and talk about this, because I don't think that this Donald Trump national security, white supremacy movement is over.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
It's not over.
Not at all. No, not at all. Y'all stay safe, especially Black men. Y'all are the most vulnerable category, the most visible. So truly, when I mean that, please stay safe and keep your family safe from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
Peace and love, baby. Peace and love.
All right.
Happy Black History Month, y'all.
Oh man, so shout out to everybody who has checked in. Shout out to Jeff. Shout out to Gary Chandler. What's up? Melanie, who has checked in. Beach Gordy, what's happening? My friend Kimberly Beckwith in Arizona. What's up, Danielle? Frank Williams, what's happening? Frank, no, because Maynard has to get some tongue lashings. So, pause. But he has to get some tongue lashings, so you can't be a part of the after meeting. So he has to get a couple of tongue lashings.
Yeah, Frank, because he trashed us again. That's what he does. That's what we got going on.
Trash, y'all.
It's all good, brother.
All right, so let's get to the other stuff.
Can we get to some foolishness? Can we get to some foolishness?
Yes, a lot of it. Can we get to
Please.
a lot of foolishness?
All of this.
Foolishness it is. Where would you like to start?
Let's start first of all with rest in peace to Cicely Tyson.
Shout out.
I have a new, as I became an adult, and Michael, we get into T.I. in a second, but, I have a new respect for Cicely Tyson after I saw her on How to Get Away with Murder. And I had looked up, how old she was then, and she was like 93, 92 then. And I was just like, wow, God dog, she's like 92 at this point. And still looked amazing. I mean, was looking truly, truly, truly amazing. But I remember as a kid, and I think I've shared this, as a, I had never seen Roots as a kid. I only saw it as an adult. And it was on. But it was just so amazing to me. I remember, the Diary of Miss Jane Pittman. And first of all, talking about Roots, I didn't even know she was in Roots until, I did not know she was in Roots until, what's the name? Until the other day, actually yesterday. But, just to have a new respect for her and the way, the role that she has played for plenty of people. Her, Sidney Poitier. I mean, there's a lot of actors and actresses that we would not have right now had it not been for Cicely Tyson. And for her to literally work up until the day she goes to the next life, that's amazing.
For me, always
so guys, get out what you have to say, and then I'm gonna get to my ignorance.
As a kid growing up, I knew that she was in Roots, right? I had seen a handful of other movies. One of the things that Cicely Tyson did in her career is the amazing thing is that she refused a lot of roles. She was not in the number of movies that she could have been in because she was she refused to do anything that she saw as demeaning or degrading to Black people. And she took that as a serious responsibility. Now, where I really kind of had a crush on her is when
crush on her.
Yeah, when she played the love interest in Bustin' Loose with Richard Pryor. And that was, anything Richard Pryor in 79 through 83, 84 was just it was automatic Black people were going to fall in love with. But then I was like, I understood that this woman was supposed to be what Black beauty looked like, and she was. As a dark-skinned woman, she always looked amazing, and she, there's no smoke for, Dinah Carroll or, other Black women who were fair-skinned, that this is no smoke towards them, but Cicely brought what being she and Leslie Uggams, they brought what being a brown and dark-skinned Black women and showing what beauty was all about from that space. And I always appreciated that.
Wow. Well, my thing with Cicely Tyson is what I did not know, probably, I guess, is I didn't know she was actually from Harlem. And it explained a lot that I can say the last 10 years, maybe 10 to 15 years, she was very active in the community, doing a lot of community stuff. You remember George Harrell, don't you, Spud?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things that George would do a lot, Andre's brother, in the community in Harlem, a lot of community events that she would attend, you know what I'm saying, which I thought was super dope for somebody, again, who was like late 80s, early 90s, you know what I mean? So it's like, outside of all of the other, theatrical stuff that she had done over the years, I don't know why, but I never put that together that she was from Harlem, you know what I'm saying? But so if nothing else, it's just showing the epitome of what real Black excellence is about. You know what I mean? For her to be 96, just imagine all of the things that she saw through her lifetime growing up, her parents, her grandparents, just a wealth of excellence. So, shout out to Cicely
just not
Tyson.
even just that. I'm just thinking about, I'm saying Jim Crow,
Right.
Never Be Equal,
Right.
civil rights. I mean,
Right.
she would do all of that.
Yo, she was, some other facts, she was married to heavy hitters in her day, right? I mean, Glenn Turman, who played Preach in Cooley High and also played in,
Who's still acting.
Different World, Fame, etc. But the legendary Miles Davis.
Black Bottom.
Yeah, she was married to the legendary Miles Davis. And I mean, like, when men who are, particularly in their space and time at the top of the game are pursuing this woman, that lets you know that it was not just her beauty, but the idea that, she was a force out in these streets.
Because it ain't your beauty, it's your booty.
Is your booty.
Can I take a point right here, a point of reference real quick?
Wait a minute. Listen, can I just vent for a second?
Before, let me have a quick point, if you don't mind, and I'll leave it all for you. I want to just, give another RIP shout out to one of two of the first coaches in the NCAA that really did it for the culture, and that's the legendary John Chaney from Temple. John Chaney, like growing up in the Philly area, John Chaney was a coach of all the Black people. Like Issa Rae said, I'm here rooting for everybody who's Black. John Chaney was that for us. He and Coach John Thompson from Georgetown were, in my opinion, the first two to come in the game and do it for the culture. They recruited Black students to these schools. They were father figures to Black men, and they were leaders, and they were fearless in what they did. And I just want to say, rest in peace, Coach Chaney. And with that, it's yours, Spud.
We don't get to say rest in peace to Larry King. No Larry King.
No?
Yeah.
All right, Larry,
Feeling really
Black
racist
History
over
Month,
here,
though,
bro.
baby.
Like, Larry was that guy, dude.
Shout out to my man Jeff. He said that Cicely Tyson was the first Black woman to wear her hair naturally on TV. All right, look.
Hey, let's get to the meat, my guy. Let's go.
Lamont said that Facebook is the new obituary, right?
Jesus Christ. Damn.
Listen to me, man. Ooh. There needs to be a social media police. I'm willing to sign up. Okay? I'm willing to be a part of the social media police. Some of y'all don't need to post. I don't want to go on my timeline and everybody's posting the same thing. Cicely Tyson died, nothing else going on in the world. Flipping. Some of y'all don't need to post about Cicely Tyson, or anybody for that matter, dying. Some of you, Oprah, you got it. Tyler Perry, you got it. Ava DuVernay, you got it. Ray Jenkins, not for you. All right? You don't.
Whoa. We can't post about Ray. Whoa.
No.
Why?
We don't want Ray to post.
Kim and Nunu and all these. No. You don't get to post. All right? You get to post like me. You don't get to say rest in peace. All you get to say is oh man, Cicely Tyson died, or such and such died, or such and such died. You are not the news outlet. I don't need you to be the news outlet. I need you to be the viewer, like me. I'm the viewer. I want to come on. I want to see. I already follow CNN. I follow MSNBC. I follow the people who's going to give me the information that I need in order for me to have it. I don't need my regular folk to be giving me the information.
Underneath their
That's not what
TikTok
I
busting
follow
videos.
you for. I follow you because you give me what you have. If you are Farrah Thompson on the West Side and you my friend on Facebook, on Instagram, I follow you because you post about food or because of your kids or because of whatever it is that you got going on in your life. I don't follow you for you to tell me that Cicely Tyson died. Then you encourage us 40 other months to go and actually put the post up. So now we got, if I follow 3,000 people, I got 3,000 posts about the same thing. This is a waste of my timeline, people.
So can I say something, Spud?
Yes.
And I'm kind of with you. And I'm gonna give you an example. I posted something today, right? So we all know the past few days about the GameStop and the Robin Hood and all that, right? Where everybody was posting that. But I didn't see one person post, and I posted today, that Robin Hood went and raised $3.4 billion in 48 hours that they like, we'll give y'all little pennies back about GameStop. So when people talking about we're going to boycott Robin Hood and this and that, they done already got their bread up. And they got more bread than what they had before. So I'm with you because I think the social media platform is supposed to be about something different, something new, something through that person's lens. But the problem is that maybe somebody's lens is just not what it needs to be, because everybody, only thing they reading is what they see on somebody else's timeline and or, you know, what might be on World Star Hip Hop. You know what I'm saying?
Which I get it, and I understand. I think that if you are a media outlet, this is your job. If you're the Shade Room, these are the things that you're supposed to do. If you're Hot 97 or whatever the case may be, your job is to deliver information to people.
What about
if you
us?
are not, I'm sorry.
What about us? I mean,
but I personally would not. I think it's personally disrespectful to post about somebody who dies if you don't have a close relationship with that person.
I agree.
Even like, you know what I'm saying, my wife and I, I got plenty of pictures with celebrities, and I'm sure you guys do as well.
Yeah, but we don't do that.
When people die, I don't go and run and
Right.
take a picture of, in my photo album and be like, oh shoot, look at the picture with me and such, and they died. Eazy-E died, or my picture with Kobe and they
Right.
died, and I'm not gonna do that. Like, that to me is just disrespectful, and that's just not my place. I think that, you know what I'm saying, if I follow you as an individual, I follow you because you are individual. The sad part about it is that because we have created a culture of followers and likes, that people utilize these things in order to be able to get more followers and get more likes, as if they are a media outlet, and they're not. And the sad part about it is that people do it. I'm with Kim Kardashian and whoever else said it. I think we should take away the likes on social media. Take away the followers, take away the likes. Listen, if I follow you, I follow you. I don't need you to like it in order for me to be able to share it. That's just my frustration, and I could be wrong. I just don't like to go on my timeline, and especially with the death, it's like, word? Going back to Lamont's point, like, ain't nobody talking about, like, Robin Hood, the day of the inauguration. Oh my God. I'm like, I've already watched the inauguration. I don't need you to repost the inauguration. I've seen it already.
Now, wait a minute. Here's my thing. And I've seen Michelle's outfit 3,687 times.
I've seen it already. All right. Got that off my chest. Where do we go next? Do we go to Wendy Williams or do we want to go to T.I.? Maynard?
let's hit the Wendy Williams. I think it's short. I don't think Wendy's is long. I watched the Wendy Williams. So let me back up on that for a second. Lamont, you probably know better than me, but this Wendy Williams, I think the previous one that we had a conversation about last week, and a couple other ones. These are all Latifah's projects. Is that what I'm to understand to be correct?
I'll be honest. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I purposely didn't.
I didn't see Latifah on as executive producer.
Yeah, I don't know. I know because I thought that might have been a Wendy thing.
I think this is straight Wendy and Lifetime because they have a deal together.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Salt and Pepper was in Latifah.
Salt and Pepper was Latifah. Okay. All right.
Shout out to Lifetime too. I see y'all. Y'all trying to do y'all thing. I ain't mad at you, Lifetime. Bring a little culture to Lifetime.
I'll say this. It wasn't a lot of new information, and that's, sometimes you want to discover something new. There was a lot of crying. There was a lot of I'm a victim, and I know that she legit had things occur in her life that were unfortunate. It was more nosiness than entertainment to me, but that's all I got for it.
I'll let you go. You can have it.
I mean, what you want me to say? We got into an argument in my house. You don't want to watch this? No. I made a deal in my house. I watched that sleepy ass Denzel movie first. So I didn't have to watch Wendy Williams. I mean,
oh, good. I don't have to watch the Denzel movie then.
It's no. I think you probably should. You're gonna have to give it 2 tries, or you're gonna have to really pay attention. Because if you go fulfill your drink, it's a wrap. But anyway, after going through Twitter, seeing the snitching, the method, the Eric B, but that's how Wendy do numbers. You feel what I'm saying? You can't be mad at somebody for them showing you who they have been over the past 25 years. And there is a market for that. You feel what I'm saying? Which is why and how, I don't know what the numbers were when it came out yet. But people probably watched it. I mean, it's the reason why Love and Hip Hop is probably still on TV. I don't know if it is or not, but it's trash.
Let me give a couple of shout outs, right? And you two both will appreciate this. First of all, let's give a shout out to Tony Gray. All right?
Shout out, yep.
Let's give a shout out to Vinnie Brown.
No doubt.
Let's give a shout out to Red Alert. He was classy, what
True.
I'm saying, in the joint. Let's give a shout out to Kobe, Charlamagne said it, what I'm saying, today, and I agree. Give shout out to Helen Little. Mm-hmm. These
Philly.
are, what I'm saying, people who were Kathy Hughes, as well.
Yo, but she made Kathy Hughes look bad though.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
she did kind of dog. I seen a little clip on Twitter.
She made the chairwoman look bad.
I was like, not the cigarette in the mouth.
I was like,
Hughes.
we work for the same person, and that's who you thought she was?
Right. But this was WOL days. This was the WOL days. But I think that from my perspective, and I think that Maynard, you would appreciate this, and even Lamont as well, being in the music business, to see the people in the radio business be represented, not as much, but that to me was a good look. It was really good to see Tony Gray have his name mentioned in that movie. For you guys who don't know, Tony Gray is a legend in urban radio. Vinnie Brown is a legend. Charles Warfield, these are all urban, black, men who, who's the other guy? Who's the other guy, man, who took over Radio 1 at one point?
Was you talking about Barry Mayo?
Barry Mayo. All of these, men really, really, really represented, were pivotal in giving Wendy, a chance. I guess I would even say, even though he's not black, even Steve Smith, at Hot 97. But Helen Little, Philly, Kobe, Kobe Cole, Super Radio, there's just so much, from a radio perspective, and growing up in radio, it was good to just kind of see radio have its, its name in lights or whatever, and those radio people who've actually, done it. I was very surprised about the Eric B thing. I was, but had it not been for Wendy, when you guys now hear the gossip in the morning and the rumor reports and all of the, news that they do in the morning time for the female chicks, that was That was Wendy Williams being groundbreaking.
It's just
So
no
let
way-
me wait.
She was,
Can I ask one question?
of course.
I know everybody wants to say that Kevin is not a great guy, the scum of the earth. He did all these wonderful things, no, excuse me, bad things, and cheating on his wife and spending his money and all the other things. But shouldn't we give Kevin a little bit of credit?
I mean, the man did make the deals.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, in the
Like-
doc, one part of the doc, Wendy basically says, look, you know, I was doing what I was doing, and Kevin was instrumental in this deal. But when the TV deal, no, it was the returning to New York deal. She was like, he ain't had nothing to do with that. I already had done that, and I just let him.
Even before that,
come on
all
the
I'm
back.
saying is that he married her, and we have to just acknowledge that when you're there during the marriage, you're helping, her perform every day. You might be cooking the bacon and the eggs and the rubbing her feet and listening to the download of all of the foolishness. And he probably even had to crack a couple people heads because there's a couple people that was trying to get at her for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
But they
I'm
knew
very
that was Kevin's wife.
surprised.
And Kevin, he bought that. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of things that he helped pour into Wendy that I think we just can't throw all of the dirt on dude.
How in the world? And I'm standing with Meth, right, and his wife. But how in the world is DJ Mr. C in the doc? How does Mr. C bring himself to participate in the documentary?
But here's what here's what he said. Here's what he said. He said that the reason that him and Wendy got cool, he said this on Clubhouse, that because he didn't know her until she started to do a lot of parties, and he was getting booked at the same parties, and they became cool in that arena, and that's how their friendship.
So they were doing the parties after she outed him, or what?
No.
No,
That
way
way
back.
back. But I get
Way back.
So the part that I think that you didn't hear was Spud is saying is when Mr. C's situation blew up, what, 4 years ago?
Yeah, but that
What
wasn't a Wendy
situation-
Williams
wait.
thing.
What situation
Wendy
are you
Williams
talking
was
about?
the first one to actually out it. The
What
second
situation
time,
are you talking
he got
about? I don't know
caught.
what are you talking about?
Allegedly.
Oh, you never heard the interview? I have it on tape. I don't know if I still have it or not, but I have it on tape when she was just like, there was a legendary DJ in New York that was in a car
And driving on the West Side Highway
with a transsexual man or woman getting fellatio, and she even
Really?
said it on the air. His name was DJ.
Ooh.
She was the first one that outed him.
She ran that for a
And
good
then the
minute.
second time, when he was on Hot 97, when he got outed, the tape came out. The actual person leaked that part.
Wow. That's what I mean about,
Ooh.
she always
All right.
been messy.
Yo, Spud did.
That's not messy. That was just.
No, I said Wendy's always been messy. I'm not a
but
fan
the
of
problem
Wendy.
back then was, and I think somebody either said it in the doc. I think somebody said it in the doc. Is it's a difference when you get it from the tabloids or you get it from news outlet or whatever versus you get it from a person, and that's where I think that the mess came because it's like if I say to Lamont, such and such is homosexual, and Lamont goes on the air with it, and it ain't no ground to it, ain't no proof to it, then it's just hearsay, So I think that's kind of where everything got. All right, let's get to T.I. before we go. Lamont, can you explain what's happening? Because I really honestly am
So allegedly, there's this young lady, Sabrina Peterson, I think her name is leading the charge that T.I. and Tiny were involved in menage a trois, which she participated in. She's not underage at all. If I'm not mistaken, she's in her late 30s, maybe early 40s. Sabrina also has several restraining orders that Tip and Tiny have put out against her because they've all been friends. Allegedly, they've been intimate all together, and and but she's also accusing them of being involved in like sex trafficking. And there are allegedly some other people who are saying that they're involved in this sex trafficking, and she has all of this proof, which as of to date, she hasn't been able to provide other than some emails without any further proof of who they're from, you know, and the whole shebang. And last I heard, you know, there was a conversation, you know, from T.I.'s lawyers is that, you know, if you have this proof, you know, let's take it to the police, you know, and she has become quite silent. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, can I ask a couple of questions?
Well, before you ask, be very clear. I am a T.I. and Tiny fan. They got enough money if they want to have consenting adults, you know, engage in threesomes, foursome, and fivesomes, and popping pills and Percocets and scotch and all that other shit that y'all drink and add it to the mix, then
Wait a
they
minute.
can do that.
Wait a minute. Do not
What?
do not impugn Scotch's reputation with
What do you mean?
T.I. and Tiny.
she-
Don't put Scotch involved with this. Ain't got nothing to do with Scotch. Scotch
So
ain't
you
messing
said-
with nobody.
Everybody who is on with us, please, if you can leave a comment in the chat, I would love to hear your thoughts, because first of all, let's go with the sex trafficking, right? Let's start with the sex trafficking. Am I a sex trafficker if me and my wife say, wow, look at that girl over there. That girl over there is hot. Excuse me, Punkisha, can you do me a favor? Go over there. Ask that girl if she would like to come home with us. If she says yes, then cool. Cool, the girl comes home, whatever happens, fine. Next day, boom, Keisha, can you go over and get that girl? Is this sex trafficking?
No, because if you look up the definition, it means that they have to be forced.
Okay.
If
So-
Punkisha is, and I think there's an issue with age that could come into it, but the definition of sex trafficking includes, and the law states a victim is forced.
Well,
So
there, hold on.
how are we get? I'm sorry, real quick, man. So how? Because it seems as if the lines are always blurred from what's consensual and what's forced.
So
Even, you know what I'm saying, in the case of R. Kelly, it's like, oh, all these girls have done it consensually. Now we're in this whole situation with T.I. and Tiny, and it's consensual, and some people are saying it's forced. It kind of goes back to
in the state
the
of
Me
Georgia,
Too movement and who's forcing you and who's not forcing you.
in the state of Georgia, there's previous case law, which is the most recent case law regarding this, which is if someone is, whether they took the drug and or the liquor or not, if they were no longer sober, and here's because this is one of the allegations involved, that there were drugs given to these people. I don't know if that means that they took the drug or they took the drug not knowing that they were taking the drug. But once they are no longer sober, they can't give consent. So that was a case that just went that way like 3 or 4 years ago. So
Okay, so let me break this down, because, you know, I'm not that smart. So let's just say I'm partying. We go out, we kicking it, blah, 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 blah. I get a girl, I bring the girl to the crib. We chilling, we drinking, we smoking, whatever. I pop a Molly, she pop a Molly, and then we end up having sex. After she's taken the Molly, it's no longer consensual?
that's what this particular case law in the state of Georgia finds. So that if that person has taken, even if they took the drug themselves, that they do not have the ability, once they're intoxicated, the ability to give consent. And so that's not me. That's not my argument. I don't have anything to do with it. It's just that I'll post later the case that was referenced based on this conversation?
That's bullshit.
Listen,
and that's that one case. I'm like, let's go to trial, because at the end of the day, a 40-year-old that decides to pop a Molly because she done heard Future all night, and they up in the blue flame, and we get ready to take this back over there to the W in Buckhead.
What girl's not gonna want to go?
Right.
I mean, they all want to go.
And then she comes back later, and again, even with and it's just with Sabrina, from what I understand, these other alleged victims, and I know we can go through the whole thing of, yep, sexual assaults does happen. Yep, sexual trafficking does happen. Absolutely. Because again, in my opinion, it's just another metamorphosis of slavery, which is, like I explained to Ms. Nola earlier, it's woven into the thread of this country. You know what I'm saying? It ain't right, and it happens. But in this situation, it's not adding up.
I think we just got to let it play out.
T.I. and Tiny, that piece, that's not adding up. Because now if we all in the room.
They did it or they did not do it?
I don't think they did what they said they did. Here's what I do believe.
Yeah, but T.I. said it was consensual. He said all of the people that we have had has been consensual.
Of course.
Which was probably a mistake for him to say anything.
You said what?
It was probably a mistake for him to say anything.
Yeah,
his lawyer probably told him to shut up.
You know what I'm saying? He should have just been quiet. He should have let his attorney say everything.
Right. Yeah.
But let me just end with this. I've been married for almost 8 happy years now.
Ooh.
All right, going on 8.
Ooh.
Look, don't tell me nothing. I don't want to. I don't want to know nothing.
I listen to this, and I say, is a man not sexually satisfied that he has to bring? And I understand every man wants the fantasy to come to reality of being with 2 women, right? Most men want that. But is there not a line to be drawn in the sand where it's like, yo, we got to have them every single weekend? We got to have them on a month-to-month basis? Like, are you not sexually satisfied or happy within your marriage that, and it could be just a part of your marriage, but that you have to go out and seek women to be a part of your bedroom on a consistent basis? I mean, listen, every man wants to keep it spicy in the bedroom. Every woman wants to keep it spicy in the bedroom. We all want to keep it spicy. But how much spice is it? I mean, how much cayenne pepper do you want on the damn season? Too much seasoning.
See, Spud, you can't do that, my guy. You can't.
What?
Listen, Will and Jada taught us a long time ago. You know what? I'm gonna say this, and this is 1,000. This is a very infamous artist that we all know, and everybody in the podcast knows. And this artist, he told me this story, and I thought he was BSing. And a lot of stuff that they do in them circles when you at that level, that's just how they get down. It's part of the culture. And it might not be just T.I. Maybe Tiny was like, ooh, I like that one. Tip. Because you know how she talked with her little nose up? Tip. Get that one. You know what I mean? You bring her back to the house. You know what I'm saying?
You talking about Randy Watson, though? You talking about Randy Watson with sexual chocolate? Is that who you trying to identify?
No.
Okay, I'm just checking.
No. This an R&B artist, and he was explaining to me about. I mean, there are parties, and this is where you got to be careful, Maynard, of when we like what you just said about that, because here's what I do believe could have happened. A group of guys, like all 3 of us are in the room, and we know Black Ice, Bootylicious, and Hot Tamale, right? And we tell, somebody else, hey man, Hot Tamale over there, she get busy. You know what I'm saying? And you say, hey, Hot Tamale, here go my man. some people consider that would be sex trafficking. If them two went
Yeah,
off.
and I get that part.
So I think you got to be careful with that part of being like an intermediary, because I believe that happened from a casual perspective, but I do believe Spud. It's people out here wilding. I mean, look at Magic. Look at all of the stories that we hear. What,
Where
huh?
are your kids, T.I. and Tiny? Where
They in the bed sleep. They
you
on.
got all these random chicks running through the house?
Yeah, Spud. What you want me to do?
I want you to not do that. I mean, I get it. Listen, I understand that it's the fantasy of the man. And I understand, Michael, you know what I'm saying? I get it. It's about the options, especially when you get to that level of money and status and celebrity. You pretty much can have whatever it is that you want. But I just am thinking to myself, like, yo, we're not talking about just one girl here. We're talking about a plethora of women that y'all as a married couple are running through. And y'all want me to watch the T.I. and Tiny family hustle? This ain't a family hustle.
No, that is the hustle. Hustling these broads. That's the hustle.
Dog.
That's the hustle.
But again, but Spud, again, if they looked up to Will and Jada, I mean, they're just doing what they've seen in the past. I
Yeah,
mean,
but Will and Jada they're not doing that. Will and Jada ain't picking them up just like that. They're not going out to, you know what I'm saying, Sunset Boulevard and be like, yo, we want you to come back to the crib with Will and Jada.
We don't know.
mm-hmm.
We don't know. We don't
All right.
know.
What else do we got, man, before we go?
Yo, I wanted to try to get to a couple quick things. You know, old girl Stacey Abrams is nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Shout out to Stacey. And today marks the first day of Black History Month. Marks Rashida Jones taking over as president of MSNBC. This is the highest a black woman has been in basically in all of television. And yo, shout out to Rashida. Now, she was once head of the NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. Not only is she a beautiful woman, she's extremely talented and smart. She's only 39 or maybe she's 40, so she's achieving at a high level. And I got one last thing, and it's going to take a second.
Here, just stop for a second.
I want my dad!
47, I'm in
I want my dad! No!
Stop. Don't kick us, dear.
Stop! Oh my God!
Stop, dude.
Okay,
Just relax.
okay.
You
Wait,
done?
my mom, she's pregnant.
Are you done?
My mom
Are you done?
pregnant. Oh, yes, please don't
Stop.
let me go. I want my dad.
Stop, dear.
Sit back.
Dear, why, just stop for a second and take a deep breath. Hey,
Please, no,
just stop.
please. I will get your dad. No, you said that you were going to pepper spray me. No, please, no, stop. Sit back. Oh, I got a bad one.
Just spray her.
I do not know I have
Just
a
spray
bad
her at this
one.
point.
Stop. Stop.
Dear,
Stop.
I got her. I got her.
Please wipe my eye. Wipe my eye, please.
Unbelievable.
I want my dad. I want my dad.
It's quiet. What kind of reactions do y'all have?
I mean, it's just our weekly dose of trauma. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you know, we can sit here and rant and rave and scream and holler, but you know, I think this is about the people in that community. I think that, you know, this is where, you know, our earlier guest, I disagree with her on a bunch of different things, but the one thing I think is that, you know, local is important. You know, this is a problem that needs to be addressed by the citizens of Rochester. Should we give it attention? Absolutely. But ultimately, to hold those officers accountable, ain't nothing I could do sitting here but just talk. You know what I mean? And I think it's about, us through this platform explaining to people why it's important to go to the local meeting, to know who our local policeman, commissioner, or who's on the board, or who's the chief, and things of that nature. Because, again, what it looked like to me is a whole, and I don't know Rochester like that. You know what I'm saying? I just know the station up there, but I saw 6 or 7, or it was 9 white officers, so with a little bitty black girl. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just not willing to believe, and again, you never know, and just have to go back to my childhood where I was always really happy to see people that look like me that was the police when I was growing up, because I think that's important. You know what I mean? So I think what this is about, again, is, we go from week to week with all of this outrage and all this other kind of stuff, but it's like, what can I really do, or what can Spud really do, or what can Maynard really do with this kind of situation, except, go through the daily cycle of us being fed trauma of a black child being abused, because that was abuse, period. And we got to do something different.
Mr. Spence?
I agree with the fact that, this is something, for the city of Rochester. But I do think that, it is also important to, what's the saying, when you see something, say something, and if you don't live in Rochester, I think that it's just as okay for you to pick up the phone and call, the Rochester police, or wherever, they are, and, whatever that community is, and whatever precinct that is, and whatever, congressperson is there, whatever political official represents that district. I think that, it's also okay to pick up the phone and call those people and express your frustration. I think that the problem, is that we don't. And because we don't, then there's not enough voices, for change. And I go back to, last year, almost this time, where we, talked about George Floyd, is it going to be a movement or a moment? And when we all basically said it was going to be a moment, and it ended up being a movement. And that was because there were enough voices that actually said something, stood for something, spoke on something, represented for something that made change. This is the example that we need in order to be able for that change to continue. And that is to consistently speak out on things like this in order for people to consistently understand these type of things, and abuse by the police is unacceptable. I can't even explain. I didn't even want to even finish. Like, I didn't even want to even have I don't even want to even make a comment. Like, this is like, to Lamont's point, like, this is trauma. Like, there's absolutely I can't even compute into my brain how this is even acceptable. Like, you're literally talking about pepper spraying this girl, like this 9-year-old girl. Like, I'm sure that there is some training to reprimand a 9-year-old girl. There has to be some sort of level of training in the Rochester Police Department that says, oh, this is how you reprimand a 9-year-old girl.
And you know what, Spud, before you start, but the only thing I would say to the police, once they got that young lady to the point of that they knew that she did not have a deadly weapon of any sort, we shouldn't have been having no conversation. Because if it take 9 police to address a little kid that don't have an AR-15, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? She ain't got a knife or stick or book. Like, what are we doing?
If it take one police officer to throw you in the snow.
Right. Like, sit down, little girl. Right. Right.
You throw the girl in the snow.
Right.
Like, so, I mean, it's just, but I think, you know what I'm saying, you see something, you say something. And, you know, I agree with Lamont's point is, you know, the people, the city of Rochester should be in outrage, and they should be protesting and calling and picking up the phone, and whoever that police chief is, whoever that sheriff is, whoever, you know what I'm saying, those people are, they should be, you know what I'm saying, literally having a conversation about voting somebody out or finding, you know what I'm saying, somebody's resignation.
Well, I think what you guys said are very important points, and I'll just differ from you in one respect. This is our business, and in fact, it's our business more than anyone else's. The protection of Black women, particularly Black children, is the responsibility of Black men. We know in this country, and this is a Black Panther moment right here. We know in this country that no one was protecting Black communities from other people, from people from the outside, and that was that was essentially one of the cruxes of why the Black Panther Party came up. The real challenge is it's not Rochester, because it's Ferguson, because it's New York City, and Eric Garner, because it's Chicago and Laquan McDonald, it's Sanford, Florida, and Trayvon Martin. It's going to be Novi one day. It's going to be Teaneck, New Jersey. It's going to be Norfolk, Virginia. It's Philadelphia. It's going to be everywhere where Black people live. It's my man in the Wendy's who slept and, you know, was murdered, unfortunately, by the police officers. And that was some extenuating circumstances. It's Philando Castile in Minneapolis. And so it's not Rochester, it's America. And you said one good thing that I truly agree with is once you realize, first of all, what is the crime that this young lady committed? Well, there's no crime. You would say maybe resisting arrest or whatever, but you showed up because she was having a mental health crisis, a 9-year-old girl. And as I listened to this girl say, I want my dad, and I have an 11-year-old daughter who has no idea what it would be like to have somebody physically put their hands on her and not know where I am, and what would go through her brain, what would go through her heart, the fear that she would have. That shit's heartbreaking. It's upsetting and disturbing. And when you know that there are parents somewhere on scene, because that was part of the call, and there's another portion of the video where they said the mom was, you know, mouthing off or something to that effect. And you essentially say, okay, despite all other options, no matter what else I've tried or should try, I'm just, you know, like the cop said, let's just pepper spray her at this point. Just hit her with the pepper spray. Let's. The challenge is, and this is where defund the police, which is not a term that I'm fond of, but the concept is critical, is important. Because, you know, at one point I used to work at this bank, and, you know, when I was much younger, and we had to take calls, and we had to take so many calls an hour. So we were like, hello, are you going to pay your bill? Okay, click. We're trying to get people off the phone as quickly as possible, because my only job was to get as much money in as possible. If you weren't going to pay your bill, the police are trying to answer as many calls as possible. So at some point they were like, you know what? We could take 15 other steps, but the fastest way to end this is to put physical pressure on this girl and then hit her with a chemical that is going to irritate her eyes and do damage to her to get her complicity. They show up, and in their mind, it's like, how do I get through this call to get to the next call as quickly as possible? I don't want to spend time with this. This is a waste of my time. I want to get out doing something else. I want to go to another call. I want to spend time I don't know. I'm gonna go down and do some other kinds of, shooting at the range. I'm not sure. But because instead of taking the time, the lazy approach is force, force, force. Violence, violence, violence. We're done. Now we can go do what else we want to go do. And there's no way in the world, similar to what I think we all would agree, what Nola said as well, if this young lady had been white, there's no way in the world they would allow for, they would have done this. And that white person, we have seen with our own eyes video of white people, and I'm not even talking about the Capitol situation. There's a woman in New Jersey on the side of the highway showed up because her son and daughter or son and friends were getting a ticket. She stepped to the cop and told the cop, basically, as they may say, she gave the cop a piece of her mind. She wasn't even supposed to be there. And the thing about this one thing, the cop pulls over the son and the kids in the car, and they're on the side of the road. She shows up 10 minutes later and gets out of the car. The first rule about getting pulled over by a cop is do not get out of the car. She says, fuck that, I'm getting out the car. Got in the cop's face.
Yeah, but wait. Hold up, man.
There ain't no way. There ain't no
no
way.
No, that was not too far from here. She was on the parkway. That's what they do over there, dog. It's a little different over there.
That's what they do in America.
That's a little different.
That's how we operate in America. And so as a result,
but man, let me ask you a question. So what do you suggest we do?
Yes.
I suggest that we do is that we, if you want to put pressure on Rochester, there's a mayor in Rochester. Her name is Lovely Warren. She's a black woman. She's been advocating for change. She doesn't have all the votes that she needs in city council or whatever. But we can put pressure on her as well. We need to put pressure on our police unions in our own towns. We need in your own city, your police department and your police chief and your deputies in the sheriff's department and the police union need to be made aware that this will not stand. Because
isn't that what we just said? We just said that same thing.
I know, but one of the things, at least what I took from what you were saying is that a lot of this has to do with, contacting Rochester. I'm saying that my local city councilman and my local mayor needs to be aware that this won't stand here. That, look, send him this video, send her that video, and say, we disagree with how this operates. Send that video to, for me, it's going to be Bobby Scott and Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, and let them know that this will not stand, because so much of what police departments get as far as funding comes out of the federal government. Mr. Hayes.
So here's the part that and I'm not saying I don't agree with you, but if I'm like, and after I just read really quickly, they just fired a police chief because this is not a new thing up there in Rochester. So you're right about the mayor. But if I'm the mayor, why would I care if Spud is calling me and he lives in Novi? He doesn't contribute to my tax base. He can't vote, who cares if you're calling me? You know what I mean? Now, is it an embarrassment?
No, I think he's saying I need to call my local mayor.
Right, but he also said we should put pressure on the people in Rochester. And I'm not saying that that's wrong, but what I'm saying is that to me, the residents, the people who pay taxes, the people who live in that community, I just feel like it needs to be more of a Voltron kind of scenario instead of me worrying about. And man, it's your right. There's no way, and I don't have a child. You don't deal with children like that. Even when they have a medical episode of they not willing or they're not having the ability to hurt someone. As long as that little girl ain't had no weapon and nothing like that, and like all of them dudes, so I get that. But I'm saying that the people of Rochester really got to get off their buns. True. And they have to be just as adamant, because again, where I live, if there's an issue and there's a certain community that don't look like me, that don't like some shit, it's going to get changed because they coming heavy.
I would say this though, Lamont, you're right. You're right that these people who pay taxes here, the people who live there, are the people who have the greatest stake. But I live next to a city called Virginia Beach. And if Virginia Beach heard from black people up and down the East Coast that we are no longer going to come to Virginia Beach and spend our money, because the local tax money, that's just that's expected. That's baseline.
That's tourism. That's different.
Hold on, that's baseline. But that tourist money is the gravy on top. And that's where a lot of...
We're not going to Rochester for tourism, Maynard.
There are people who...
We going to hang out in Rochester, my guy?
There are people who go to Rochester for tourism. And this is not about Rochester. This is about every other city that you're aware of. People are on their way to Philadelphia for tourism. People are on their way to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania for tourism. People are on their way to... South Carolina, to Hilton Head, South Carolina for tourism. People are on their way to Lincoln, Illinois for tourism. Lincoln, Kentucky for tourism. We don't know, but these towns, they all have a board of tourism. These towns do not need to be embarrassed on a national stage and pressured into, you're going to lose this tourist dollar, because that tourist money is literally everything that's on top. Like we already know you're a town of 125,000 people. You got 60,000 households. The tax rate is X. You get that every year. How do you go to the next level without raising taxes?
Okay, can we talk about action? Because we've done this podcast now for what, 4 years? 4 years we've done this podcast, and what we seem to do is that we talk and we say, this is what we should do, this is what we should do, this is what we should do, this is what needs to happen, and nothing, we don't do anything. Our tribe doesn't do anything. Is there something from an action standpoint that we need to start to put into place? I said at the beginning of the end of last year that I would like for us to get into, from a talk perspective, into an action perspective. So is this just, do we need to start putting action from a Three Black Guys with a Mic perspective, and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do when we see these outrageous things? Or is this just, we are venting and we're going to end the call, we're going to go back to our scotch and vodka, and we're going to be back next Monday and life is going to be the same?
Well, this is what I'll do.
No, don't say what you'll do. Let's say
I'm talking about 4-3. This is what I would like to. I'd like to get y'all feedback on. Maybe what we can do is create a handful of situation correspondence letters that we can put on our website. That if the situation is X, you download this form. You fill it in and you put the name, the incident that you're referencing, and the person that you need to send it to, the mayor, the governor, whatever the case may be. And then what we can do, if you guys, so desire, we can say, okay, we identified a situation that happened in Rochester. Those of you who feel so inclined to join our letter writing campaign, you can download our letter at the website and then be able to send that letter and start with that. And, it might be 25 people, it might be 10, it might be 3, but we can at least go on record. That's one way to start this. And, I think it would take some other ways to come up with. I don't have those answers at this moment, but that's one thing I think that we can do.
All right. So let's talk about that offline. But I think that, this year we either need to, from a collective unit, we need to start either putting these frustrations into, action instead of, this is some bullshit, this is some bullshit, this is some bullshit. Because as we all know,
this is some bullshit.
Right now, an incident has probably happened that's probably not going to get the same amount of attention, that what you just showed. I'm sure that there's probably 100 incidents happening at this very moment, as well as the ones that are going to have media attention. And when those incidents happen, whether, it be police brutality or if it's just something we just don't agree with, then, maybe we can put, an outlet of the number or whoever you can call and say, hey, whatever. Just so, we get into the, I guess, position of doing our part to be an outlet versus just a talk space. All right, it's 8:40. Guys, we got how many people on with us? About 10 people left. Thank you so very much for hanging with us for this hour. I told you we were going to go over. I didn't know we were going to go over this long. It is Black History Month. I'm going to, you know what I'm saying, ask you to challenge yourselves, only because I challenge myself every single year. I usually, you know what I'm saying, read Black history books. I usually, you know what I'm saying, watch the documentaries, even if I watch them 100 times. You know, Black-owned businesses, which I do throughout the year. Thank you so very much, Gordy. But in these 28 days, watch a documentary every single day. You know, you can watch them on YouTube. Learn about somebody new, you know, in Black history every day. I mean, you could just go on YouTube and just Google, you know, whatever. If you like to read books. Read a book. You can't read a book every day, but you know what I'm saying? Get a new book and read. Learn about something new. Learn about, you know what I'm saying, Black history every single day. That's what I would challenge you to do. I'm sorry, what'd you say, man?
And also try to share that with somebody.
Share that with somebody. Thank you so very much. You know, support a Black-owned business and share that with somebody. You know, maybe, you know what I'm saying, by next week, man, we can, you know, bring your challenge that you did and kind of, you know what I'm saying, tweak it to, you know what I'm saying, 3 black guys with a mic, you know, situation, and just challenge people just to do something different. You know, this, instead of being frustrated about we only got 28 days, take these 28 days and, you know what I'm saying, learn. I mean, there's reparations you can learn about, not reparations, Reconstruction. There's, you know, I mean, Henry Louis Gates, you could just start with Henry Louis Gates and be all right, you know, through that. I mean, who else got good stuff out there?
I mean, if you haven't picked up Ta-Nehisi Coates, if you haven't
Ta-Nehisi Coates
went back and went through the works of Langston Hughes, if you haven't went through the works of Margaret Walker or Lorraine Hansberry, you know, this is a good time. James Baldwin, always. Yeah,
James Baldwin. I mean, you can go back and learn about Plessy versus Ferguson and learn about, you know what I'm saying, these things that, you know what I'm saying, just go re-educate your mind on Jim Crow and, you know, Reconstruction and sharecropping and shit. Go watch Roots. Shit. Anyways, we're out. Thank you. Whoever is left with us, thank you so very much. August Wilson, thank you, Beats, Gordy. You know, which that's a good look right there. Lamont, you got quiet on me. Anything you want to add?
Nope.
Okay. What was the documentary? Oh, watch MLK and FBI. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite.
You know, thank you so very much for my sweater. I got this sweater from Spike Lee. This is an official 40 Acres and a Mule. You know, Spike Lee stuff be selling out, so it's hard to get.
Maynard, was that a flex? Was that a name drop he just did?
Yeah, hold on. He needs one of.
That was a flex.
Let me see. It's a clue bomb for that one.
I'm with you, brother. Listen, I'm with you. I'm happy for you. I ain't got it like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a direct line. You know what I'm saying?
All right, we love y'all. Thank you so very much for listening to this episode of 3 Black Guys with the Mic. Share this episode with your on your page. Share it or YouTube. Share it on your whatever. Just share it. We are growing. We're so happy to be growing. Getting new people every single week. Tell your friends at work. Tell your friends on your social media page. Tell your friends. Tell your family members. Watch 3 Black Guys with the Mic on Mondays at 7 p.m. Okay? Watch them. Learn from them. Grow from them. Talk about them. Do whatever. Just tell them to tune in Mondays at 7 o'clock. Peace out. Have a fantastic week. Thank you so very much to Nola Haynes. I'm sorry I had that wrong. I thought it was Hayes. But it's Nola Haynes who joined us tonight. We'll talk to you again next Monday. Holla back.